Well, hello everyone. Oh, I'm on the screen sideways there. Well, good Monday evening to you. We are coming at you live via StreamYard, via YouTube, via my bedroom, my own personal bedroom. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but I have moved my studio into my bedroom, and that's one of the changes that I've made recently. Yeah, that's why things look different. I can't remember if I mentioned that or not. I always worry, like if I know I say things to some people, and then I can't remember if I say it to everybody, but that's why. And Samurai on the last show asked, "Hey, is there something different about your background?" I'm like, "No, man, it's nothing different." And I blew it. There is something different. I totally moved the studio into our bedroom, and that's why you can see that. I don't know what color that is. It's like it's supposed to be a Tuscany orange kind of a thing. Like it's a very peaceful feeling. That's what it's supposed to be, very peaceful. And I'm glad you can make it on the Monday night live broadcast with me. And we are going to bring Thrash Pondo Pons on. How you doing, Thrash?
Just fine. Burnt almond. That color is burnt almond.
Oh, is it? Is that what it is? Burnt
I'm
almond?
guessing. I have no idea, but it looks like a burnt almond to me.
Yeah.
And I'm doing just fine. And yes, you did tell us a story about how the old studio had to run a whole bunch of power cords. And it was like a
Yes.
three-season room, so it was always too hot and too cold.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
it was
recall.
yeah, it was just better. I mean, at that time, that was the only option I really had. That was at least anything close to soundproof. Because I could I couldn't close the door. The door was always slightly open, but still, it was better than just like sitting in our front room or something like that. But if I would just sit in the front room, you'd just be able to hear everything. Even here, you can still hear things. You can hear the air conditioning running, and if something goes on outside, you can hear that as well. But the other room was just a bear. I mean, but again, like I said, at the time, that was the only option that I had, and it's just too hot, especially this time of year. I mean, I think we were like 106 today. It did rain finally this afternoon. Yeah,
Ew.
it's so hot. It is so hot here where I am. But it's so nice the rest of the year. I mean, it is just really super nice. I mean, it doesn't get too cold. And I know some people kind of miss the snow, but quite
I would.
honestly, I don't. I don't miss the snow. Now I'm originally from California. I don't know if you knew that or not, but
Yes, you did mention that.
okay. I'm originally from California, but the first place when we moved to Utah was a place about 50. It's about an hour north of here. And even though it's only an hour north, the temperature is radically different. Like radically different. It is as cold as Salt Lake. I mean, when I lived there, we had snow days, so we had where we were snowed in and couldn't go to school. And so when we moved to St. George, I was relieved. I was happy. I spent 7 years in a place where it snowed very heavy in the winters, very heavy in the winters. And I was fine. Now, I mean, some people they love the snow. Like you're saying, you might miss the snow.
I probably
I
do.
don't really miss it. I do like to visit it, you know what I mean? But St. George is actually such a nice place to live. Really, it's only an hour and a half away from Las Vegas if you want big city life, and it's only an hour and a half away from really nice mountains if you want
And
nice mountains.
isn't there
Yes.
like actually good skiing in parts of Utah?
Oh yeah. Well,
I
I
had
mean,
heard that
our
somewhere.
our our bumper, not our bumper sticker, but our motto that's on our license plate says "Greatest snow on Earth." So yeah, I mean, yeah, we're as good as any place to go. I mean, you have to, and honestly, if you want to snowboard or go skiing, it's only like I said, it's only an hour and a half away to go
That's
do
crazy.
that. So
That's
anyway,
closer than Vermont is to me. Just so you know, Vermont's about 4 hours from me,
oh okay.
so it's weird. I can get to ski country myself, but I'm farther from ski country than you are. That's
We're in a
crazy.
good spot, but I mean it's not like everything is great here either. I mean, there are some things that I don't like. The heat is one of them. You have to bear through that heat in the summer, but the winters are fairly mild and it's pretty nice weather throughout the year. There's only maybe about 6 weeks in the winter where you have to like wear a coat, worry about it. So I mean, really, it's pretty nice. Right? It's a lot like Phoenix. If anybody's ever been to Phoenix, it's maybe about, I don't know, 10 degrees cooler than Phoenix. But enough about me. Enough about me. Let's talk. Enough about me. What do you think about me?
Apart from that conceited streak, you're okay.
Yeah, I'm a little conceited, but I think I'm pretty cool about it. No.
I doff my hat to you.
Well, we're here to talk about growing up 70s, 80s, 90s, Generation X, the last great generation. I think there are some good generations before, and there's some cool things about millennials and zennials as well. I don't want to exclude them, but I got to say we're the last of the generation where we grew up like there were no rules. Like we grew up just laying on the car seat, the dashboard or the backboard of the I remember that. Did you ever lay on the back dashboard?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No one cared that we gonna do this. But we're gonna, so our tonight's topic is, like as always, well, not like as always, but as normally planned, we have a discussion about something on Thursday, and I put it out there on the podcast, and then I put it out with enough time for people to come and help us out with the discussion. And this week's discussion is kid-friendly aliens. That was part and parcel of growing up Gen X, right? You wanted to go to this show and you wanted to see all those really cool aliens who were super friendly towards kids. So anyway, I want to, before we get to there, let's say hi to some people. But this just caught my eye out of the corner of my eye. I normally don't pay attention to the comments. I mean, I glance at them, but I try to do my conversation. But Daily Dan says sad news to report, and I'm wondering if you're okay, Dan. Let us know what that news is.
I think I might have some light on that, by the way.
Well, let's let him tell us.
Let's let him tell us.
Okay, but I just wanted to acknowledge that because it just popped up. I mean, it was all in caps and stuff like that. So, but let's go. I think this was it.
Paul Sorvino, another star of Goodfellas movie, has passed. He certainly has, just a few hours ago. Also, for you Star Trek fans out there, among many, many, many other things, David Warner has also passed on.
Oh, really? That's a bummer.
He was one of the bad guys in Titanic. He was Billy Zane's manservant. He played Jack the Ripper in Time After Time.
Yeah.
He played a lot of German officers and like old World War II movies. Usually played an interrogator or some kind of bad guy.
Right.
He has the honor of playing Reinhard Heydrich, for you World War II fans out there, twice. So yeah, he had a very illustrious career. He died today at 80, only a couple hours after Paul Sorvino.
Oh, wow. Well, with that sad news out of the way, let's go ahead and say hi to people. Bring them on for us, buddy.
I shall bring them on. Daryl Johnson says, please hit like button. Please do. Please do.
Yes, please hit the like button.
Is also in the house. Says, good evening, Daryl, buddy.
Good evening, Daryl. Good evening, Ken.
Lance Chafin is also in the house. Says, hey, Daryl and Ken.
Hey, Lance.
And then a whole bunch of people are having fellowship here, talking about the inclemently hot and unbearable weather. But we also have Tracy Ross Myers in the house.
Tracy.
Says, hey, guys.
Hey, Tracy. You get four fingers up.
And we also have Superplex says, hello, gang.
Hello, Superplex. Glad you could be joining us on our program today. And who else do we have?
Someone just said hello, David. I'm looking for the David that's in the house. We have a couple Davids. Could be Dave Sundstrom. Could be
maybe it's Dave, man. Dave Sundstrom
Carpenter.
Dave Carpenter.
Well, if it is, I'll be sure to spotlight them. Let's just see here. Oh, here we go. Like I said, a lot of people are having fellowship, so I have to scroll down to the next page of comments, which is always nice. Oh, Georgia here says hi, Lance. Wow, I'm way behind, aren't I?
Hey, Georgia, how are you? Oh, you're way up there. And I think who else is here is S- Skip
Skip Rock
Rock.
Jr.
How you doing, buddy?
Looks like burnt sienna to me. Skip Rock, I shall yield to your color palette.
I have no idea what it is.
It's burnt something or other. It's burnt offerings. I went there.
Oh,
I'm,
good.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
All
Oh,
right.
we got a good question here before we get too far along. Superplex asked, "What was the?"
Oh,
Oh,
go
would you like to
ahead.
call him?
Bring it
I
back
will.
up. Hi,
I
John.
will. Hi,
Go ahead.
John. Don't want to forget you, John. John's in the house. I almost texted you the other day, by the way. I'll talk to you later, but I wanted to say hi. I haven't chatted with you in a while. Oh,
Hmm.
but moving forward, Zuplex says, "What was the name of the alien Michael Rennie played?" I know, but I'll give you first crack at it.
What are we talking about? I don't even know what movie we're talking about.
Michael Rennie was in The Day the Earth Stood Still. Remember, I
Oh, yeah,
sang a few
yeah.
bars from Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Michael Rennie was ill the day the earth stood still.
Mm.
His name was Klaatu. Although we would have also accepted Carpenter. His Earth name was Carpenter. Emily Miller in the house says hi, everyone.
Hey, Emily. Glad you could be here with us today.
Great to
Oh
see you.
yeah, Clawtooth. Now, did you see the remake of that with Keanu Reeves?
I refuse to.
You refused to. I watched it. I thought it was pretty good. Of course, I wasn't a big fan of the original one. So maybe if I was a big fan of the original one, I might have not liked it. But I didn't mind it. So I almost saw it as like a fresh watch, like a fresh kind of see kind of thing. Because I hadn't seen The Day the Earth Stood Still uh, probably since maybe like my mom had it on in the 70s on television and I watched it when
Really?
I was that little. Yeah,
Wow.
so anyway, so that's kind of why
I
I was able to
I
watch the Keanu Reeves one with fresh eyes.
I did kind of high road it, and then some of my fellow sci-fi fans warned me that it was the smart play. I can't picture Keanu Reeves as Klaatu. It's not working for me. Oh, and remember we were talking about some of the Christian elements about how his name was
Oh,
Carpenter, about how he died and came back. There's a lot of I think really nice Christian elements in the original, by the way.
okay, cool.
Trey Throws Myers points out Doctor Who was meant to be a kids show. Yes, it was.
Well,
You never
I
watched?
know I know a lot of kids liked it. Like a lot of kids my age, maybe a tad older than me, liked it a lot. Like people maybe like 5 years older. I have a good friend, Jason, who's actually has been on this program before. He was like on like the very first few episodes, where we were just sitting around a table with an iPhone talking. Yeah, he's been on a few episodes, but he loved it too, and he's about 5 years older than I am.
Well,
So I
in regards to this, it was actually intended like to be made for kids. You know that old TV show, Time Tunnel, where they go to different periods of history.
no
Well, long story short, Doctor
Voyager.
Who. Hmm?
I remember Voyager.
Similar, but this was actually called Time Tunnel. It was in the Irwin Allen in the '60s. But was Doctor Who was intended? He was to go to different periods in Earth history, and he was the Doctor was in a professor, and sort of like Peabody and Sherman, and he would actually teach the lesson about history while actors enacted it in the background
Hmm.
behind them, and it didn't really work with kids, but people were fascinated about a time traveling professor who had adventures. So it was retooled as science fiction, but it was originally intended as an educational program for children.
That's funny because I used to love Peabody and Sherman, so I thought that was
How could you
one of my
not? You know,
favorite ones.
in the movie, it was finally revealed the reason he says my boy Sherman. It's
Yeah.
not like he's a pet boy like you would say my dog Peabody. It's his adopted son. When he says my boy, he's actually referring to him as this is my boy Sherman. I
Well,
thought that was
one of the
nice.
only cartoons of theirs that I remember was, I remember it, vaguely all of it as being cool and liking it, and they'd go back in time and, they would see these events and stuff. But one of the ones that I actually vividly remember was the one where uh, uh, Peabody goes in front of the judge and adopts Sherman, and he
Really?
uses
I
a
don't remember that one.
yeah, he
Really?
uses logic. He goes, well, and his logic was just this completely flawed logic, but I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, it's not supposed to be taken too seriously, I'm sure. Um, but he basically says, well, if it's okay for a human to adopt a dog, therefore it must be okay for a dog to adopt a human. And they're like, well, we can't, fight against logic like that. So there you go.
I honestly don't remember that one, but that's very cool. So it establishes it back then. Oh, this one's for you. Daryl Johnson says, "Is the Explorers the one where the kids build a spaceship?"
Yeah. Yeah, they build a spaceship and they get messages from outer space on how to build it, and then they build it and they go up and see the aliens, and then the aliens end up being children themselves who get in trouble for bringing children from Earth up onto the spaceship. It was, I mean, I loved it as a kid. I absolutely loved it. One of those again those underrated shows.
Lance Chafin points out to Zuper, it was Klaatu. Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, Superplex goes on to say, Doctor Who is a rather childish sci-fi series.
I don't know if that's supposed to be taken as a compliment or if that's supposed to be taken as a slam. I
I
don't
think
know.
it's one of his left-handed, you know, you know, cheeky sort of comments. Not to be hurtful, but just sort of.
Right, right. I get it.
Daryl Johnson says, "Fly to the Navigator."
Yeah, I never saw it. I never saw Flight of the Navigator. I should go back and watch it. I really should. It was one of those shows that I just missed, So if it doesn't come on HBO or if I didn't see it in the theater, was or I didn't rent it either. So, oh well.
Check. Zupalik says, "Okay, Lance Klaatu, but I don't think Klaatu was particularly kid friendly." Now,
Mm,
I take exception to that. Not like offensive projection, but I'm going to pick up the gauntlet. If you remember, for the first half to 2/3 of the movie, when Klaatu is in hiding, he's living in a boarding house and befriends the boy who lives there. In fact, there's a great scene where they go to see the alien, and Klaatu inadvertently starts giving him secrets of space travel by mistake. And fortunately, all the adults that are around him think that he's just blowing smoke um, to the kid making stuff up. But a big part of the movie is Klaatu befriending the boy.
right.
So I'd say that would make him kid friendly.
Yeah, I guess that would. I guess technically it would. You're frozen up, but I mean,
Should we just run with it? Me being frozen, the frozen remake.
yeah, it doesn't bug me a whole lot. I mean, I don't know if it bugs other people. I mean, all he can do is pop back on and pop back in. I guess you could do that if you wanted to, but you'll
I'll let
freeze again.
it's so hot in my house right now. It's supposed to be cooling off in the next couple of days. It's so hot in my house that my computer is getting hotter faster than normal.
Yeah,
So that I think that's part of the problem.
right, right.
Speaking of which, Liz Javen says everyone Thrash is doing a live stream on Wednesday at 8:30. I certainly am. The weird thing is when I do my own independent live streams, I don't freeze up. It only seems to happen when I'm a guest on other people's live shows. I have no idea how that
Hmm.
works. It's weird.
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe it takes more power to project onto somebody else's site
I
than for me
have,
to do it on
yeah,
my
I
own
don't,
live
I
stream.
really don't know. I mean, it's just StreamYard, so I have no idea how it's working. So, yeah.
Let's
Well,
see. Daryl Johnson says T-Pon sounds much like tampons.
tampons.
Oh, T-Pon. Oh, I see. I thought
Oh,
he said my voice sounds like tampons. I don't know. T-Pons. Well,
no,
also
the
people.
name, not your
T-Pon.
voice. How would,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now I'm with you. Now I'm with you. Well, a lot of people call me Trash Pondo, which is fine. I think Trash is kind of a cool name. It sounds like something out of
Yeah.
Richard the Living Dead. But I could say that. Well, Dave always calls me TP.
I call
And
you TP sometimes too.
a lot of people do. Yeah, I've had Danny Staten call me that, and a few others call me TP. I think even Ian called me TP, and it's funny because that always used to mean toilet paper when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, remember the Glitter Boom girls kept calling you Trash Panda.
Yes, because that's from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
That's what they call the raccoon. They call him a trash panda. Hey,
yeah,
she can call me whatever she'd like.
yeah, yeah. No kidding.
Oh,
Love to
Lance
have you
Chaff.
both back on, by the way. I don't know if they ever listen to these, but I'd love to have you both back on anytime. Let me know.
That would be wonderful. I've seen a couple of their podcasts, but they haven't done much live.
They haven't done anything in a long time.
I know.
Mm.
Lance Chaffin says, "Okay, I've been dealing with sinus issues lately. More sympathetic I could not be.
Uh,
Pollen count on Cape Cod is cray cray."
well, I mean, I'm not sick right now, but I mean, I hate it when I do get sick. So that's why I think I don't get sick because I just can't stand being sick. You know, I've got my own home remedy for being sick. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Which is?
I'm not kidding. So
I'm
I
listening.
I load up with vitamin C. I load up with aspirin,
Mhm.
and I don't stop drinking ginger tea and green tea together. Like I just load up on it, and then here's the thing that's my secret weapon. Okay, because all that's kind of just normal. I watch hilarious shows.
Really?
Yep. Now it has to make you laugh though, like not just chuckle, not just be amused, but really laugh, like really, really laugh. And everybody in my family is so there, and I do deep breathing exercises too. So, but everybody in my family is so mad at me because I never get sick. And even when I get sick, I'm like sick, like way less severe than any of them. And I'm sick um, way less time than
Hmm.
anybody. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just something that I do. I think that laughter is a really great cure for a lot of ailments, and yeah. So I mean, obviously, it doesn't cure everything, but I think it helps. I think that it's the best shot you can have. What do we
Excellent.
got as far as comments are concerned?
Daryl Johnson says Bob making things up as he goes along. Love it. I'm not sure specifically what fact I have made up in that case, but I'm not above doing that. So,
I know. That's
so
like
I will.
that's kind of I well, the comments section runs behind because uh y- uh uh yeah, because we talk about each comment. So we don't know sometimes which one you're talking about. Which comment you're talking about. So let
Exactly.
us know.
Well,
Let
I'm
us
trying to
know.
catch up because I'm like way behind in the comments.
That's
And
fine. I mean, we're here to talk. A comment comes up and we talk. That's what we do. A comment comes
oh,
up and we talk.
John Collins has a good little factoid here. Paul Rubens was the voice of the Navigator in Flight of the Navigator. I never knew that.
I think I heard that before. I think Paul Rubens. He's he's Pee Wee Herman, right?
Yes, yes, he was.
Yeah, I think I heard that on like a. I can't remember what it was. And maybe it was on Minty. If you guys watch Minty comedy,
Yes.
10 Things You Didn't Know About, and he normally has a movie, and he does 10 Things You Didn't Know about Flight of the Navigator, and I think he brought that up in there. Cool fact though, John. Thanks for bringing it up.
Very
Thanks for
cool.
pointing it out.
And Emily Miller points out Ruth Buzzy isn't doing well.
Oh, that's a bummer. I'm sorry to hear that.
Who
Very
has her in
sorry.
the Deadpool? No, I'm sorry, that was sick. But it's funny, Emily, we were just talking about her as well because, as you know, Jim Neighbors and Ruth Buzzy were very kid friendly aliens, although more like androids. They did the Sid Marty Krofft series Lost Saucer back in
Hmm.
the mid 70s.
Hmm.
Or did
All
I make
right.
that up? Sorry.
It's all right. What else we got as far as
Skipping
comments are concerned?
down.
See my lightsaber?
I wanted to say something about that, but I've been busy reading the comments. That is
Yeah.
cool squared. Where'd you find that?
Oh, this is like an old. This was like a stocking stuffer. I don't know. I think it had like M&Ms in the bottom of it or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think something like that. I can't remember, but it was something with candy as well. And it was. I think it was back. I think it was back with not the original trilogy, but the when the prequels came out. They did like all kinds of promotions, and this is part of what came out with those promotions.
Check. Daily Dan blog says burnt offerings. That's what I used to call my wife's famous Sunday dinners.
Ah, ha, ha. You got the only dog in town that begs for Alka-Seltzer.
Uh, Meatloaf that glows in the dark.
All
Your
right.
turn. Let's see. Suplex says the day the Earth stood still was a commentary against McCarthyism.
Ah, really?
Uh,
So is McCarthyism a euphemism for socialism and communism?
well, no. What had happened was in the time of McCarthy, there was intense, fierce, almost hysterical anti-communist
Yeah,
movements going on in this country, and McCarthy tried to ride the crest on it, and he made a career looking basically. I don't want to say witch hunt because it wasn't that there weren't any communists,
yeah,
but he kind of went, he jumped the strudel looking for them, and he destroyed lives, and people were pulled in front of committees. And it really wasn't until he attacked the army that it finally he broke his spine. I mean, they were like, "Come on, we're fighting to defend our country, and you're saying that we're communists? We're
right.
fighting the communists." But he tore up Hollywood. He tore up Middle America. He tore up a lot of things.
Well, that's where there's a song called Frances Bean will have her revenge on Seattle.
Hmm.
It's a song off of In Utero, and it's about being falsely accused of McCarthyism. It's based something somewhat on a true story. And Kurt Cobain's daughter Frances Bean Cobain is named as such.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, there's a bell ringing in the back of my head. I think I vaguely remember that story.
Hmm.
But I can see how that would be because Carpenter is persecuted, even though he's here trying to help Earth. They find his activities suspect, so
Right.
I can see how they did a couple Twilight Zones along that theme as well. Trey Thoras Myers says I loved Peabody and Sherman.
So did I. So did I. That was probably my favorite one off of the whole Bullwinkle and Rocky thing.
The Daily Dan Blug says you can see a tunnel or a time tunnel comic book review with clips on here. Hey, if you watched my videos, you would have knew all that. LOL.
Well, I can't see every video everybody does. That's the problem.
And
I
I think I
see.
saw yours on the time tunnel. Now that you
Yeah.
mention it. Oh, Emily Miller goes on to say Quantum Leap was good about throwing in a little history. It certainly was.
Yeah, I liked Quantum Leap. At the time that Quantum Leap came out, and then from that time to my memory of watching it, did they do like real history kind of things?
There was usually some that was a flavor. I mean, it was like Johnny Tremaine, where
Okay.
the main characters in the story would all be fictitious, but the things going on behind the scenes, things that were topical, were historically accurate.
Hmm.
There's one episode where he's at some fundraiser and a guy starts choking, and Sam saves him with the Heimlich maneuver. And as they take him away, somebody says, "Are you going to be okay, Doctor Heimlich?" The
Oh,
implication is that he met Dr. Heimlich and gave him the maneuver. There's a lot of little things like that. A lot of them were done as throwaway jokes, but a
right.
lot of them were, in fact, fit pretty topical.
Gotcha, gotcha. Unlike Voyagers, which was really kind of a lessons show. Remember Voyagers, right?
I sure do. I sure
Yeah,
do.
I loved that show.
John Cullen asks, Ian, does Dr. Brian have a YouTube channel? I wouldn't mind getting my head shrunk by him.
He doesn't have a YouTube channel like that. He's got a channel called Brains on Games, and they're mostly like board games, and they have a developmental nature to them. So he does. Many people might remember that when I started doing this, I had two YouTube channels, and one was a board game channel called Board Game Addict, and that's where I would rate and review games, and that's where I met Brian. Is over there doing that. And but he yeah he has a board game channel, and I don't know if he really like the adult stuff that he did professionally was more like couples therapy, and he mostly works with children at this point. So I don't know if he does adult stuff at all anyway. So, but you're more than welcome to look him up over there. I mean, Brains on Games. He's got a really good channel.
I got to show these. Emily says Thrash is frozen, and the Daily Dan blog is on to say at least Pons froze up with a good picture. Thank you very
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're not going or something like that. You never know. Maybe if
much.
that would have happened, we would have been a little bit more, enthusiastic about having you pop back on and pop back off and pop back on. So
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, like I said, the heat's breaking up here. It's already a little cooler today, and it's supposed to be much cooler tomorrow. So
yeah,
hopefully, it's just a glitch. A
it
glitch.
was so hot earlier today, and then it rained. We had a rainstorm this afternoon, which was really, really nice.
And after it rains, there's a rainbow,
And
and
it was
all
my
the
wife's
colors.
birthday today. Her
Oh,
first birthday in heaven. Happy birthday,
happy
Joyce.
birthday!
Yep.
Happy birthday, Joyce. Teresa Ross Myers says, "I loved another old show
That
that kids loved. My favorite Martian. I can't believe we never thought of that."
Yeah, that is one that slipped through the craps. That slipped through the cracks. But that was more of a boomer show, wasn't it? I mean,
Well, here's the deal. The actual the black and white show with Ray Walston was in the early '60s, around the time as Bewitched and
yeah.
shows like that. But in the mid '70s, there was an animated series, which is how I found out about the show, a
Oh,
Saturday morning kid show. So it fit for people growing up '70s. It does fit the bill. In fact, I think it was actually voiced by Jonathan Harris.
mm,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw the Saturday Morning Kids show before I saw the black and white series and reruns, with
mm.
of course Bill Bixby too, one of his first TV shows.
And there was also a movie, wasn't there, in the 90s?
Yes,
My
yes, there
Favorite
was.
Martian. So it does fit. It does fall into the category. Well, I mean, it falls into the generally larger category of kid-friendly alien shows, but it does definitely fall into the specific category of Gen X kid-friendly alien shows.
Gotcha. Daryl Johnson says, "I shall call you Bob." Thank you. I'll call you
Bob.
Daryl.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer Robert or Bob?
I'm only Robert when I'm in trouble. When my mother or my wife, when I hear Robert, I'm like, oh, what I do now. Um, to be honest, I started being called. I was Rob like through middle school and high school. When I went to college, one of my first friends had a brother who they called Bob. And he goes, "Would you mind if I called you Bob?" And I'm like, "Ah, sure. What the heck?" And he introduced me around to people as Bob. So by the
Hmm.
time I graduated, I was going by Bob.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, my father was Bob and I was Rob, and that's how they kept us apart.
Well, I always thought about that. If my name was Robert, would I want to be called Bob? And I thought, I would rather be called Rob personally. But I mean, everybody's unique. You know what I mean? Everybody's got their own way they want to be addressed. So if you don't
That's
mind
the beautiful
Bob,
thing
then
about Robert. There's so many ways you can go with it. Although I got to tell you, years ago I worked in a kitchen, and there were 5 guys named Bob. And the manager goes, "Oh, this is great. I'll call you Robert. I'll call you Rob." Nope, we all went by Bob.
and then yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Bob one, not that Bob.
that's what he had to do. He started going Bob 1, Bob 2, Bob 3, because we all insisted on being called Bob.
Mm.
Emily Miller says, tonight's topic is why I mentioned Ruth Buzzy. I'm assuming it had something to do with the fact that she was apparently on TV for decades and is a kid friendly alien because she was in Lost Saucer. Although, again, those were androids, I think.
Mm.
Ooh,
Close enough. Kid
Let's give it as
friendly.
another good one we never
We
thought of.
can we can do kid friendly sci-fi altogether. So I mean that's all good with me. So
Check. Lance Chapin says, my stepmother is an alien with Kim Basinger.
I never watched it. But I guess that would fit into that genre, kid friendly alien shows. Well, did you ever see it?
I did. Someone dragged me to see it. I didn't want to. And
Mm.
I was literally dragged, kicking and screaming. And it was as bad as I imagined, actually.
Oh,
Um,
really?
I mean, it was kind of a neat idea, but they were trying to make like one of those like old '60s matinees,
Hmm.
but it just kind of came out phoned in, if you ask me. It just
Hmm.
and I was never a big Kim Basinger fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Not even in Batman?
yeah, not even in Batman.
Not even in Blind Date?
Especially in Blind Date.
I
She just never. I don't know. I don't know what it was. To me, it always seemed like she was like phoning it in. Like I saw right through her, and I don't know why.
Huh, so you
Um,
just didn't like her as an actress, basically.
um, well, it always seemed again. She was like one of those people. She was always. I really can't explain it. Just to me, it always seemed like she
Well,
was
I
getting parts
need
and
an
just kind of phoning it
explanation, Robert. I
in.
need an explanation, Robert.
I just
No,
didn't
I'm
think she
kidding.
had wide range as an actress, and I
Yeah.
thought there were a lot of other actresses who did.
What was that show that she was in with where she played a kind of a crazy girl with
All of them.
uh with
Sorry,
Uma
continue.
Thurman. Uma Thurman played her sister, and it was
Oh, yes,
Richard
yes.
Gere.
I can't remember, but I know exactly what you're talking
That was
about.
one of yeah, that was one of the first shows me and my wife ever went to together.
Gotcha.
So
Taratha Rosmeyer says, I remember that the Brady Bunch, they had two little people play aliens. Oh, I love that episode.
I don't remember that one at all.
Yep. Pat Paulson plays it's sort of a Project Blue Book coordinator who actually sort of bookends the show. Like it's
Hmm.
actually not the Brady Bunch; it's actually sort of a UFO investigation show.
Hmm.
Oh,
Interesting.
Ian says, sorry, John Collins says, Ian, you now have a Cash app, right?
I do. I do. It's at, and I'm going to type it in here, singularity underscore productions. I mean, if anybody wants to donate, I wouldn't hate it, but I mean, we don't have to. I mean, just I love being here with you guys and hanging out. So, but singularity underscore productions, it's Venmo. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. What else we got?
Lance Chafin says, don't forget Alf. How
Can't
could
forget
we?
Alf. We can't forget Gordon Shumway.
He's the alpha patient of the
Yeah.
kid friendly alien.
Kid friendly alien, and now we're going TV. Well, no, I guess we already went TV because we talked about Brady Bunch and a bunch of other stuff. But no, Alf was terrific. Alf was one of the best shows out there at the time. It was very innovative, and yeah, it was kid friendly, and it was kind of funny because it was kid friendly alien meets family ties.
Mhm.
Meets family show kind of that were
Exactly.
so popular there too. And I thought it was good because it put a spin on the whole family friendly show, made it just a little stepped it up a notch, made it a little more interesting. And Alf originally wasn't that kid friendly. I think I mentioned this on my 5 things you didn't know, but they had to morally tame Alf because he was
Yes, you
actually
did mention that.
like an adult kind of thing. It wasn't like a kid thing. It was more of an adult thing. And he drank beer and he wanted to eat cats and all kinds of stuff. So they had to morally tame him.
Butch Schumpf is in the house. Hello, Butch. How we doing? And Butch
Hello, Butch.
says,
Nice to meet you.
he
Thank you.
says, greetings. Many aliens from Lost in Space were very much kid friendly, especially many episodes centered around Will Robinson and to a lesser extent, Penny. It's
Hmm.
so funny you mentioned that. I remembered after we finished the podcast that one of the best episodes they did was it was sort of like I even mentioned the movie Starship Invasion
Hmm.
about the two aliens fighting an independent war, but they crash on Earth and are basically trying to like keep the war going. They do a Lost in Space, which is very similar to that, where these two alien races land on the Robinsons' planet and both try to get help from the Robinsons to win their war against the other one. And it's your typical story. It's two champion warriors, and the best man standing wins the war. And of course, the good-looking one is actually the evil one, and the one that looks
Oh,
like a purple toad is actually the good one. And
well,
of
that's
course,
good.
The reason I bring all this up, Penny Robinson, who you very aptly mentioned only seconds before, befriends the purple frog and says he's the good one, and of course she's right.
Mm.
Great
Well, cool.
episode.
Well, cool. Well, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I wasn't a huge Lost in Space fan. It was a little bit before my time, but I liked the '90s movie. I know the '90s movie was cheesy. Please don't hate me for liking the movie. I liked the movie. And the other thing that I like is the reboot. I think the reboot's great. So anyway,
Haven't seen the reboot, but I'll take your word for it. Dave Clory in the house. He says,
that means I'm not going to watch it, right?
I might check it out. I might. Dave Clory says, hi, gang.
Hey, Dave, glad you could be joining us tonight.
Oh, Ken Wilkinson says, good night, everyone.
Good night, Ken. It was good to have you with us as you could stay with us. I hope to see you back again on the program. We always appreciate you. We always appreciate your input into the show. So cool. Thank you. By the way, everybody, just you can take that down off the screen now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. But by the way, everybody, I'm getting a logo made. I'm changing the logo a little bit. Let's just put it that way. So everybody knows this logo here. I'll start it here. That's Retro Serial Podcast. So what I'm going to do, let me see if I can go back here. So see that cereal bowl? Like I just stole that. I mean, that's not mine. It was just like I just looked up cartoon cereal on the internet and stole that bowl. So I have a friend who's does computer work or whatever, not computer work, graphic design. That's the word I'm looking for. And on the bowl, you have to change something, a good 10%. So I don't know who did this or not. It's not like I wanted to steal it from him. I think I looked up under free stuff. So it's not like I was trying to, steal anything from anybody. That's not what was never my point. I was just just looked up cereal bowls for this, and that came up and it kind of caught my eye. And I thought it was pretty fitting for what I do. But whoops, there I go again. But what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of these cereals here and color them in. So they're different colors. So it's a little bit more exciting there. And then we're going to take the bowl here, and we are going to put with E and C on there. So then my name's on there. And then hopefully what we will do is we will have t-shirts made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I got a friend who does t-shirts. Now, unfortunately, it's going to put me to work a little bit because it's like when you look at YouTube and you look at people who have like t-shirts and stuff for sale and mugs and things like that. That's normally all automated. So somebody will like that. They'll order it. And the person, who creates the show doesn't really touch it ever. But in this case, I don't have that availability yet. So if people want to buy it, I'm just going to have to do the packaging and sell it myself, or, and do the shipping and handling myself, which I don't mind doing. I don't think it's going to be like a million orders or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But eventually that's what I'm working towards. So have on the lookout for that. So that's kind of why I haven't, because I don't know if that's like copyrighted or not. I don't know if I don't want anybody coming back on me and saying, well, you stole my idea or you stole my picture or whatever. So I don't want to. That's why I haven't really done that. And then I want to do a new mug as well. So everybody sees this mug. Now a few people have this. This is not for sale. I'm sorry. I had my brother-in-law, my stepson made this and gave me 10 of them for Christmas. And I've sent them out or given them away to people who are on the podcast. So this is limited edition. But what I want to do is I want to put that little avatar I made of myself on one side and that cereal bowl on the other side. And I'm going to try to have some mugs made too. So that if people want to buy those mugs, they can buy the mugs as well. And that's all the commercials I have today so far.
Very exciting stuff. Excellent.
Yeah.
John Collins says, Bob, did you enjoy the TV show Timeless? That show was topical in whatever timeline which they found themselves in. I must confess, I'm not familiar with that show.
I'm not either. I'm not either. Not
Sorry.
At all. Hey, number one dude.
Number one dude in the house.
Glad to be joining us, my friend.
Hey, at Retro Serial and Thrash, how are you? We're doing just fine. Thanks for joining us.
So, well, we were talking back and forth about this movie that I just can't put my finger on. I would love for anybody out there to be able to tell me what this movie is if you want to look it up real quick. So I'll tell you the premise of the movie. It's an 80s movie, and basically what happens is this little kid, not little, probably about like 9 or 10 years old, somewhere around there. He's on some type of alien planet where his parents are like big deals, like senators or something. I'm not sure, but anyway, he's following this little space bug, and the space bug is claymated and really bad claymation. And he follows it onto a ship. He's just being a kid, and he's dinking around, and he follows this bug onto this ship, and then the ship gets hijacked by space pirates or something like that. People who are stealing it, and then they steal the ship, not knowing that this kid is on the ship. And then the rest of the movie is actually them trying to get them back to it. It's Space Raiders.
Space
BK
Raiders?
on the air. Got it. Is that what it is?
BK in the air. BK in the air.
Yes. That has been bugging me for so long. It is Space Raiders. You are right. Yes. Space Raiders.
I'm going to have to check that one out. I've never seen it.
Oh, saving the day. BK on the air. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was bugging. That was a worm in my head that was bugging me for such a long time. And I typed it all into I tried to type the plot in as best as I can remember it. And hi, by the way, thank you for showing up to the program. But yeah, I mean, that was one of those things that was just bugging me for such a long time. And every time I think about it, because I hadn't seen it in so long, that it would just bother me. But yeah, Space Raiders, that is that show. You've not seen that one, have you, Thrash?
I have not, but I'm gonna have to check it out now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think it was one of those, B-rated movies that came out in the 80s. It was good for kids. It was a good kid alien show. If you hear that noise, you hear that, that's my dog over there, by the way.
Hi, dog.
She can't hear you. I can only hear you in here.
I can. The Lost in Space movie wasn't so bad. I would have enjoyed it more if they had actually gotten Jonathan Harris and Bill Mumy to play the small parts, which they didn't. And I would have really, 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 really liked it if they had. I know what a Friends fan you are, so I apologize about saying this in advance, but LeBlanc was so phoning that part in.
Oh, really? You thought so?
He really was. He was so not convincing as a tactical officer. He was just like saying everything very. We're gonna pulse blast their bases, a decisive strike.
Really? Look, listen. I'm not going to deny that it was not a great show. Okay, but it's one of those not great shows that I really enjoyed. So I mean, you could probably point out every flaw in it, and I would agree right down the line with you with every single flaw. But I, for some reason, I just enjoyed it. I mean, it was just one of those guilty pleasures, I guess.
I have plenty of guilty pleasures, so I'm not one to talk. But half the fun of the show is like the talking, so sometimes I have to. Oh, before I move on, I have a brilliant idea before I forget, because I will.
Now, wait. Now, did that hurt you?
Not in this case.
Okay.
Sometimes they do. The brilliant idea about cutting my toenails with a chainsaw. That brilliant idea hurt. But
no, I mean, did it hurt your brain to have it?
One, I knew what you meant. Yes, not in this case. But I do smell something burning now that you mentioned it.
That's called a stroke.
But
go ahead. Sorry, I'm making too many jokes.
I know, boy, did we get off topic there. Our tangent had a tangent, is my mother's expression. But, on your coffee mug, how it has the ENC little logo at the bottom?
Yes.
This just jumped in my head. Well, you know how the Einstein theory is E equals MC squared?
Yeah.
You could do ENC squared and make it look like a formula.
I could do that.
That just jumped into my head. I thought it might be slick.
MC. So should I put ENC L7?
You could. Well, that was you're a square. That would be more appropriate.
I think it would be too. I'm losing power here for some reason, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
you sound like you're in a wind tunnel. Boy, we're having problems left and right tonight, aren't we?
There we go.
Oh, you sound so much better now. Well, we'll endeavor to persevere. A number one dude says Gordon Shumway is the best. He certainly is.
Yeah, I saw your comment on there, Gordon Shumway. That was, I mean, I really did like Alf. I thought it was good,
I
and
love Alf.
I liked it then, and it actually holds up fairly okay. It's not like timeless, but the mistakes are forgivable and even endearing. You know, are not the mistakes, but the cheesiness of it today is, for at least for me, is endearing. So I think it's a really good show. Even today, I think it's a good show.
I've been told I do a pretty good Alf impression.
Who, you?
Yeah. Um,
Oh, go
Alf,
ahead.
Alf, what are those? Deep fried peanut butter banana sandwiches.
That was pretty.
Elvis loved them. He could eat 20 a day. And you think he's still alive? That's the best I can do on such short notice.
I get it. I did it. I used to do a pretty good Ed Grimley impression, but I have to kind of warm up to it a little bit these days.
You did it on one show I remember ages ago, and it was actually really good. And it's actually more difficult than you'd think. Oh,
Yeah.
BK on the Air says it's a movie that repackaged the effects from Battle Beyond the Stars from Roger Corman. That's a fun fact. Oh, wow.
What movie? What movie is he talking about?
I'm guessing Space Raiders,
Oh, okay. All right.
which leads me to believe Space Raiders may have been produced by Roger Corman. Corman was producing a lot of movies in the early '80s. He wasn't directing so much, but he was doing a lot of producing.
Hmm.
And yeah, Battle Beyond the Stars was his attempt to do a rendition of Seven Samurai.
Hmm.
It's basically the Magnificent Seven set in space. Roger Thomas is in it. It's pretty good. Have you seen it? It's pretty good.
No.
Let's see. Daryl Johnson says a futuristic, sensitive tale of adventure and confrontation when a 10-year-old boy is accidentally kidnapped by a spaceship filled with a motley crew of space pirates. Apparently, he found the IMBD.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Right on. Yeah. That that sounds like it.
Number one dude says LeBlanc.
Yeah, that's what you said, LeBlanc.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That
That was
I,
that on purpose that you
I'm,
said LeBlanc and not
call
LeBlanc?
it call it subliminal. It wasn't on purpose, but based on what I was
What you were
getting at.
saying.
Emily Miller says LeBlanc just isn't drama material.
Yeah, I mean, he fits comedy better, I have to say, for
Well,
sure.
he was a model when he started out, wasn't he?
I don't know if he was a model, but I know he did like a Heinz 57 commercial, and I know that he was on Married with Children a little
A
bit.
couple
So,
times, yes. He did one of those after school specials too, if I remember. But the big thing I remember him in before Married with Children was there's a very famous ginger ale commercial. I want to say Canada Dry, but it was like Canada Dry cherry or Canada Dry raspberry, a cranberry maybe, one of those flavored ginger ales. And he plays this really hot dude who goes into a convenience store to get some soda. And there's this insanely cute girl working the counter who
hmm,
clearly has a crush on him. And then when she leaves work, he's actually waiting there with a can and presents it to her.
mm.
And it's this really, really cute commercial. And I remember he's the hunk in it. But
Okay,
that
all
would that
right.
would have been 40
I think
years
he
ago.
plays the. I think if he gets hired, he's playing the hunk. I think that's kind of the standard. It's like we're gonna hire you to play the goofy guy. I don't think that would work for him. So
Probably not. Zubelik says, fantastic idea, T Pawns. Praise from Caesar. Thank you, Superplex. I think, oh, and here he gives an example of what the logo might look like.
squared, ENC2.
Yeah, you'd have to make the two a little smaller. It has to be like
Yeah,
one of those half twos, like in a formula.
right,
But
right. It might be a thing that catches on. People might start calling me that, ENC squared. I don't know.
it does. It kind of has this like roll off the tongue situation.
Right.
Beaky on the Air goes on to say the end shot of Space Raiders drops the kids off at the Vasquez Rocks where Kirk fights the Gorn in Star Trek. Oh, I know that spot well. Never been there, but I know the Rock. They've actually done many things there.
That's
Yes,
cool.
yes, Rock. Yes.
I got to see a life-size Gorn one time
Really? Where?
in Vegas.
No
And
kidding.
yeah, it was at the Star Trek Experience. They don't have it anymore, but it was a really good. They had this thing, this ride, and I rode it twice,
Mhm.
and it was awesome. And basically, the premise of the show is that we were on a tour, and the premise of the not the show, the premise of the ride, which was like a show, is we were doing this tour of like in Las Vegas of the of what's the words I'm looking for, of the bridge,
Ah.
but Picard for some reason got kidnapped, and we had to get sucked up into the real bridge, and they did it. They shook the thing, and then you get and they beam you on board and stuff like that, and they change everything, and then basically they're like, we're sorry. The actors come up and like, we have to ask you not to tell anybody when you get back to Earth, but our captain has been captured, and one of you people know where he is, and so we had to time travel you here to us, and it was fun. Then you go on this little adventure, and then they put you in like this ship. It's not it's motion sensitive. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, not like a real roller coaster, but
Yeah,
where it
but it
looks
feels
like,
like it's moving.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you drop down out of it and you fly back down to Earth. It's a fantastic ride. It was a lot of fun. They don't have it anymore.
I remember, and that place. I went. It was a different story, but I remember that place. That was the place that had it had the bar that was like a Star Trek bar, and you get like Klingon blood ale and stuff like that. And
Oh, well, the one that I went on was a ride at the
well,
time.
there was a ride, but it was part of our overall package. Another
Oh,
part of the
okay.
complex had a pub, and that gift shop is where I got my Sarlacc. That's the Vulcan bear with the fangs. It's in the bridge. Next time I'm filming from the bridge, I'll show you a Sarlacc
Okay.
and a beanie Gorn. I have a beanie Gorn, which
Yeah.
I've got
Well, that
before.
had a giant sarlacc in it. This was like in 2001, something
I
like
would have
that.
been there later, like 2003, 2004, because my company used to send me there for conventions. It was a couple years later, and
Okay.
that story was a little bit different. In the one I was in, it was Klingons, breakaway Klingons. Oh, look who's in the house! Tom, the
Oh,
Hungry
Hungry
Jerk
Jerk.
says hi, everyone.
Hey, Hungry Jerk. How you doing, buddy?
And skipping down. Here's one. John Collins says, Bob, since I know that you enjoy this sort of adult styling of the Jim Henson Creature Shop, what is your favorite month movie and why? Month, month movie.
Not sure I understand that.
I'm assuming.
You have to explain that a little further, buddy,
Yes,
because
I
I
could
don't.
guess,
What do
but
you month your favorite month movie and why? Well,
it's
what's your guesses on it?
probably a typo. So, John, I'm not ignoring your question. We will get back to you. But if you could, like, please fill in the gaps.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
oh, Emily Miller says, speaking of alien children, Tony and Tia.
Oh man. Oh, we forgot Tony and Tia.
I completely forgot Tony and Tia.
I love Escape to Witch Mountain and Escape from Witch Mountain, man. Those are my two favorite shows when I was a kid, man.
That was
Thank you, Emily, for bringing that up, because I literally forgot about that show. That is definitely a kid-friendly alien show
Ike
for sure.
Eason and who was the girl in it? The little blonde?
I don't know.
But yes, thank you for reminding us. I completely forgot about them.
Yeah,
Yeah. LeBlanc, I'll say it right from now on. LeBlanc was on this Heinz commercial where he's on
yeah,
top of a building and puts it on its side and allows the catsup to fall onto his hot dog when he reaches the bottom.
yeah. I remember that commercial. That's the commercial I was talking about earlier. Yeah. Do you remember that commercial or no?
It sounds familiar. I can't quite place all the details,
Well,
but it
he
does.
goes up to the top of a building, and then he takes the Heinz ketchup and lays it on the side on the top. And then he walks downstairs and he orders a hot dog from the hot dog vendor out front. And then he holds the hot dog up as the ketchup. That's how slow it takes for the Heinz ketchup. I don't know why they thought that was a selling point for
Why?
it,
Well, just that it's
but
thick and not runny.
I guess there comes a point where, well, first of all, like I don't like ketchup. People don't know this about me, but
Really?
I can't stand it.
It
I
was my
can't stand
granddaughter's first word was
I
ketchup.
guess. I don't I'm not a ketchup fan. The only time I like it is in fry sauce, and fry sauce is kind of a uniquely Utah thing, so I don't know if you have it where you are.
I don't even know what it is.
It's basically ketchup and mayonnaise mixed together, and sometimes people put a little mustard in there or a little pickle juice in there.
Not big
And
on mayo, but I can see where they're going.
it's
It,
actually that's really good. It's a big deal here. For some reason it's a big deal.
it would work
I
great on roast beef. A
It's
roast beef
good.
sandwich.
It's good on lots of stuff. It's good on a lot of people have it on fries here. But I didn't
Okay.
know. I mean, I grew up in Utah since I was 7 years old. I've been in Utah, so I didn't know that this was not a thing anywhere else. And when I go somewhere else and I say, "Hey, you got fry sauce?" Like, what? What are you talking about? But yeah, I mean, I know that it has caught on in other places, but but yeah, I know it's kind of a uniquely Utah thing, but it's really good actually. If you're ever having fries, try it. Just try just
I'll give it a
it's about
shot.
50-50. It's about 50% ketchup, 50% um mayonnaise, and then like a little squirt of mustard, just like a little squirt, and then you mix it up and then eat. It's really good. It's actually really, really good.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Hungry Jerk says I've been to that Star Trek Rock 13. He actually goes on to say years ago.
Oh, okay.
He lives in California now. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to say, don't overlook Mork, where Emily wanted to say that. Yeah, we were not going to overlook. We brought Mork up on the podcast, and yeah, that is definitely a great kid friendly alien show. I mean, I loved it as a kid. It's one of the shows that I actually in the 70s remember watching. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people say things like, "Well, do you remember this? Do you remember that?" And a lot of television that was on in the 70s, like I watched it because my parents watched it or my grandparents watched it or whatever, and I didn't really watch it that much. My mom watched it, I should say. But I mean, Mork was one of those shows in the 70s that I actually looked forward to watching for sure. Go ahead. Now you wanted to bring one up.
Oh yeah, Butch Shump says forgot Saturday morning alien kid shows. Benji, Zaxxon the Alien Prince from 1983, a dog, a kind of black hole looking robot, and a local kid from Dallas in his only acting role that we
Yeah, we
know
know.
of. That
Yeah,
we know of.
I did bring that one up. I never saw it, but it was on a list, and I was kind of like, I've never seen it, so I don't know if anybody else is out there has seen it. That's great.
But John Collins goes on to say, Bob, since I know you're sort of enjoying the adult styling of Jim Henson, Creature Shop, what is your favorite Muppet movie and why? I'm gonna have to go with literally the Muppet movie,
Oh,
the first one. I thought it just worked on so many levels. It was a tribute to those old road movies, like with Bob Hope and whatnot. It held up as a musical. I thought it was very funny. They brought a whole slew of really big name actors to have walk on parts in it, and they were all really good. I mean, usually when you do stuff like that, the big name actors think it's beneath them and they just sort of phone their performances in. But they didn't. They really. Steve Martin stole the movie. I thought. Orson Welles, I thought, did a fine job, and a lot of the other small part actors as well. I really thought it was a very well put together movie for something that is basically a puppet movie.
mm.
So I'm gonna have to go with that one. But Emily Miller goes on to say something even more insightful. She said best Muppet movie was Labyrinth for reasons.
Yeah, I would guess so. I mean, is that technically a Muppet movie?
I'm gonna give it to her.
All
It
right.
was it was Jim Henson, and many of the characters were in fact Muppets. And
Mm.
that's the thing about Muppet movies. They don't have to be all Muppets, or even the stars have to be Muppets. They just have to have principal characters that sort of contribute very much to the drama, and that one certainly did.
When I was a kid, I liked Muppets Take Manhattan. I thought that was funny.
I can see that.
When I was a
I can
kid,
see
though,
that.
when it came out, Muppets Take Man. Was that the one where Kermit lost his memory?
I forgot. No, seriously, I did forget. I haven't seen that
I
movie
think he
in
gets
probably 30
amnesia
years.
in that one. But one of
Yeah.
the things that I liked about it is they were trying to sell their script, and he goes into John. What's that director guy?
Again, I haven't seen that movie since I was in middle school. I
Oh,
just, I'm so out of my league here.
he just busts into his office and tries to pretend to be like his best friend. He goes, "Would I ever lie to you, John? This is the best script I've ever seen." And he hands it to him. And it was a pretty funny show. As a kid, I'm sure now I would think it was stupid.
Oh, it was Kim Richards. Emily Miller says it was Kim Richards. Going back to Escape from Witch Mountain.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Yeah, Kim Richards. She holds up well, by the way.
Well,
She's
she's
not
married to
bad
a
looking.
billionaire. That helps.
Oh, is she?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and she had some family fortune too. So she like brought her own money to the table. So yeah, she's doing quite well.
No.
There you go. Daily Dan's the good stuff says when I was a kid, I wasn't a ketchup fan either. I dipped my fries in mayo.
I dip my fries in ranch or fry sauce for sure. And then he wrote something up here earlier too. He said that ketchup plus mayo equals Thousand Island. It's kind of like Thousand Island. The only thing with Thousand Island is Thousand Island has relish in it. And so it does taste different, though. It doesn't quite taste the same as Thousand Island. It's distinct enough to be its own sauce. Let me put it that way. That relish in that Thousand Island really makes it a little bit of a different flavor, or
Check.
enough of a different flavor that I would say that they're different. But if you haven't tried fry sauce, it's pretty good. It's like have you ever tried bulletproof coffee?
No,
Have you ever heard of it?
no. What's that?
It's butter and coffee.
Ew.
It's you would think so. You would think ew until you give it a shot, and it's actually pretty good. Now you can't use salted butter. You have to use unsalted butter, and you have to use a blender.
Well,
But it was invented by a guy named Dave Asprey,
uh,
he did Bulletproof Radio. He was one of the people I used to listen to back when I was losing weight,
uh,
and I would listen to podcasts all the time. And so he did this thing called, well, they would call it bulletproof fasting, where you could drink the bulletproof coffee throughout the day, where you'd use like MCT oil and butter, and then you just would eat around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you would just drink the bulletproof coffee during your fasting window. It's actually, I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds weird, and it isn't that good with salted butter. You have to get unsalted butter. But if you try it, it's actually really good. It's actually really, really good.
well, it
It's
occurs
better
to me
than you think.
now that I'm busy dissing on it. It occurs to me that butter is in fact agitated cream. So putting cream in your coffee, butter in your coffee, provided it's no sodium, it's really a push. It's like someone I know used to put it. They'd get coffee ice cream and put a spoonful of coffee ice cream in their coffee to
Hmm.
lighten and sweeten it. And everybody thought she was silly. And it's like, well, what do you think what you're doing? And you're putting cream and sugar into it. So,
Right.
um,
It,
I suppose
yeah.
I will yield my point.
It's good. It's good. It's worth trying. At least it's worth trying. So
A BK on the air says, "Did you bring up Starkid
we
1997? I may have missed it. If you did, I'm not familiar with that
we
movie.
didn't bring that up. And BK on the air, we've got to get you back on this show again.
We so do.
We need another appearance with you. I'm going to be reaching out to you shortly to maybe talk about some ideas of having you on back on the show again, because that was great to have you on that show the first time, and I need to get Dave back on again too, and Pat back on, and and start doing these things a little bit more regularly. So
Daryl Johnson brings up Pigs in Space. You know, they were
yeah,
actually talking about doing a feature film of Pigs in Space at one point.
I remember them. That was recently too, wasn't it?
They may have dusted it off recently, but I just know that it was considered at one point, and I think they could have pulled it off. It could have been like a really campy version of Flash Gordon. You know,
Hmm.
they could have pulled it off.
I heard about it I think I heard about that like recently, like within the last couple years.
It
Them
could have
saying,
been.
"Oh,
Could have been.
them making a pigs in space movie." But I don't
Well,
know.
they were making John Carter of Mars. What was it for? 75 years that movie was in pre-production.
Yeah. Then they made it, and I actually really enjoyed that movie, by the way.
It
I don't care if people didn't enjoy it or not, but I actually enjoyed John Carter from Mars.
it just I'm sorry, it deviated so much from the source material. And when people wait generationally for a movie, you got to give them what they're envisioning.
I totally understand that, but again, I'm a bit of a dum dum, not a big reader, so I'm
I'm
coming
not
at it
just going to
with
laugh.
like a fresh eyes, fresh eyes. So I'm not really seeing it at all.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Number one dude says, "Isn't Star Kid with the kid on Jurassic Park?" Good question. I don't know.
I have no
You?
idea. So he brought up Star Kid, and we started talking about having him back on the show rather than addressing Star Kid. I have no idea what Star Kid is. I've never heard of it. I've I don't know the show at all. I don't know the movie. Is it a show? Is it a movie? I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, and
That's why we need you back on the show.
someone's already done this, but I have to as well. Trey Myers says, "Where is Dave?" Dave's not here. Sorry, Daryl, to steal because he's actually the first one to actually say that, but I
Yeah.
had to actually steal it. John Collins says, "Ian, the director you were trying to remember is John Landis. He was the
Yes.
director of the Thriller video and the infamy of the Poltergeist movie Trial."
Yeah, right, exactly. That was a little bit of a bummer, but yeah, and Kermit the Frog goes into his office and says, "Have I?" Goes, "This is the best script around, John. Have I ever?" He gets up on his desk and leans on his desk and leans on him. Is, "Have I ever lied to you, John? You get back to me. You have your people call my people." And then when he walks out, John Landis just throws the script in the trash.
Now, I have a question for you, John, though. Do you mean the Twilight Zone debacle where Vic Morrow and the two children were killed by the helicopter?
I think that's what he
I
means.
think that's what you mean. But
Yeah.
there was some shenanigans behind Poltergeist too. Like they used real bones and they got in all kinds of trouble.
Oh, was it?
Instead of using prop bones, they used real bones.
Mhm.
And that's a no-no. Daily Dan's the good stuff says John Carter may not have been very true to the novel, but it was very comic book friendly. I will grant you that. I will. It certainly was.
I don't know these things that well. I'd probably be mad myself.
Mhm.
I probably would if I read the book and then some that comes out and anyway, yeah, it would have been it would have it would have made me upset too, I guess. Of course, I wasn't upset when I read Lord. So I watched the first two Lord of the Rings and I didn't want to wait for the third one, so I actually made myself read the book and then I actually liked the third movie. So I started with the third book, and then I went back and read the first two books. And I like the movies better anyway. So I'm a dum dum.
It's a free country. Emily Miller goes on to say, "I want a poltergeist."
Okay, enough said. I've had too many encounters with them. I don't. I
Tom the Hungry
wouldn't
Jerk
walk
says,
across the street to meet another one.
"Fair, understand it." Tom the Hungry Jerk says, "Saw John Landis, didn't get his autograph. Pen was out of ink." I know you meant
Oh no,
bummer,
that's got to be the worst.
bummer.
That's got to be the worst. Bummer.
Butch Shump says a total hot mess UK TV special from 1981. Stainless steel and the Star Spies clip can be looked up on YouTube, I think. So bad the playback machine munched the tape the night USA Network aired it. Wow.
Wow. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up right now. What is it? Star what?
Oh, here, I'll put it back up there. Uh, Stainless Steel and the Star Spies. Stainless Steel, I think, is what is what I'm looking for? An homage to Harry Harrison's character, the Stainless Steel Rat.
Okay, right on.
But I'm not familiar with it, I'm afraid. Daryl Johnson says, "I think a peekaboo ghost would be better, Emily." Skipping down. Oh, the Daily Den, the good stuff. Just imagine how you feel when you read a Stephen King book like Dark Tower, then see the movie. That's the disappointment you feel.
Mm.
I deliberately did not see the Dark Tower first film because I knew the disappointment I would have felt.
Now, I've read some Stephen King books or listened to them on tape. I should say that. I listened to them because the guy that I've always referenced here, my friend who was blind, and he and I would listen to Stephen King books. And I remember seeing the movies, and I know that people make a big deal. Oh, it's so different. I'm like, you can't just film a book. I mean, it just doesn't work.
Well, it's not just that. King goes to great lengths to very specifically describe how his characters look, how they act, how they respond, what their mannerisms are. And when you just throw that out the window and cast some cool action star, it's like, whoa, 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 time out, time out. I
Right.
mean, the gunslinger is a very specific, it's a post apocalyptic gunslinger. He's very kind of conniving. He's cool, but with an undercurrent of agony. It, it's almost like a Clint Eastwood character, and they got the guy from The Office to play him, and he plays him as sort of he's playing him like Wesley Snipes, and I'm like. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
This is not an action movie. It's a psychological thriller
I got it.
with an action backdrop. So let's just say I
Well,
know where
let
Dan's
me
coming
just say that I listened to the book Pet Cemetery,
from.
and I watched the movie Pet Cemetery,
Uh-huh.
and I was disappointed in the movie, but not because it wasn't faithful to the book. I just thought it was a bad movie.
I can buy that.
The book was better. I have to admit, the book was way better. And the movie was just a bad movie. I just
Okay,
didn't
yes.
like the movie. I mean, it was just kind of, it was a little too hokey. The movie was a little too hokey for me.
And I don't know why they went that route. I don't know if they thought, well, it's set in Maine, so we're going to make it hokey because people expect everything from New England to be hokey. I don't know if that's why they did it. And they completely omitted the subplot with the Wendigo, which I thought somehow gave the legends of the Pet Cemetery credence. But they
I
just
don't even remember that. I'm sorry. I mean, we're talking like 1986 that I
yeah,
listened to the book. So I mean,
fair enough.
I
Well,
but I do remember him walking through the pet cemetery and all the different ghoulies and stuff that were there. That wasn't at all in the movie. I do remember that.
yeah, I just they went a little off track, and I'm not sure exactly why. Oh, John Collins goes on to say, Bob, I have another question. I used Audible all the time, and I have a credit to use. What book do you recommend I listen to next besides All Quiet on the Western Front? I'm assuming you mean a non science fiction book because, as many of you know, most of the books I recommend are science fiction, except for my favorite, which is All Quiet on the Western Front.
Well,
You know what you should.
I have a book recommendation.
All right, you give it to him.
The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Have you read that book?
It's available on YouTube for free.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
That's how I read it.
It's available. Well, we did the whole book verse. We used to do book versus movie. Again, we should start doing that again. I know. I would love
I
to
was
make
just thinking that we really should. We really should.
we should make that its own podcast. Of course, at this point, I don't have the cash to make it my own pod. It actually cost money to make the pod. Now on YouTube, YouTube's absolutely free, so people, you can upload for totally 100% free. But when you actually have a podcast that goes out like on podcast apps, that actually costs money. So anyway, that's why I would like to do another one. I think it would just take off. I really
Quite
do
possibly.
think book versus movie podcast would take off and
Quite
expand.
possibly.
And
I'll tell you
now
what.
a lot of people don't know this, but I just as of recently, I'm not pastoring anymore. So last Sunday was my last one. So if you watch my sermons, the last one's going to come up tomorrow. For a while. And maybe I'll put some thought into doing the book versus movie podcast.
Good.
Take a little more time out of your day, though. Trash. It would have to be a separate podcast.
Fair
So I
enough.
don't know. You'd have to be the book guy. I would have to be the movie guy.
that could really work. We'll compare notes later, but I'm game. I think we agree. And John, I will get back to you. I have a couple ideas. One thing though, in the credits, do you want history themed, drama themed? Would you be okay with sci-fi? But I'll definitely get back to you. I want to put some thought into it. I just want to just throw it out there willy nilly. Oh, and Tom Longer Jerk says late '80s when I worked for
Lionel Richie.
Oh, here. I think I posted his wrong comment. Someone asked him a question.
Okay. All right. Well,
Well,
cool. That's cool.
sorry,
You
sorry.
worked for Lionel Richie. That's awesome. You look.
Zuberblick says, "What was the worst movie adaptation of a book?" That is a fantastic question. I'll let you answer first.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't read that many books that I watch. That then I go and watch the movie. I generally like the movie better anyway.
Um,
So,
well, it's hard for me to say worst. But shall we say ones that? All right. You know what? I'm going to tell you the worst film adaptation of a book which I have read has got to be, and I'm very specific because there were four of them, the Will Smith adaptation of I Am Legend by Richard
okay.
Matheson. It was horrible. Now, I have to say something in the defense of Will Smith. I thought his acting in the movie was quite good.
Mm-hmm.
He delivered his lines well, he gave a good performance. So if you take the book and throw it out the window, which is basically what they did, and just have him playing Dr. Neville, it's okay. But if you've ever actually read the book and then you see what he does with it, it was dreadful. Right down to the point, and I'm not going to give it away because it's one of the best sci-fi novellas ever written, but right down to the term I Am Legend is a very specific cause, and they don't even reference it. They get the very name of the book wrong. And I remember watching it and just from beginning to end being so disappointed and just going, nope, nah, no, that's not how that worked. Nope, no, he didn't act that way. Nope, that's not what is that person doing there? They were, it's almost like they took a good idea and just went rogue with it. And I have never been so disappointed in my life. Now, I have another, and I can't say this is a bad adaptation because I love it. Soylent Green varies so wildly from the original source material, that is Harry Harrison's Make Room, that it barely qualifies as an adaptation. I love Soylent Green. I thought it was amazing. I also like Harry Harrison's book, but they might as well be two different things. So if you want to use that one, great, but I would prefer use the Richard Matheson just because I thought his adaptation was so bad. I will now get off my soapbox.
Well, let's see if there's a. I don't know. I guess one that I was disappointed in would have been Ender's Game. We talked about that,
Oh yeah,
but
it wasn't. Yeah,
I didn't like the movie or the book though. I didn't like either one. And sorry, Orson Scott Card, you were a great writer. It's just that the book's so damn depressing that I just didn't like the book. That's why it has nothing to do with your writing skills. You tell a masterful story, but it was just so depressing of a book that I didn't like either the book or the movie. So anyway, and the movie was not a good representation of the book.
Tracy Rothminer says Emily Mine was a great movie for kids. Little strong, don't you think?
Enemy Mine. No, look, I don't know, but I loved watching Enemy Mine. I mean, when I was a kid in the 80s, it was one of those ones that came on HBO over and over again. And so I remember watching it and I remember actually really enjoying it. So, I mean, there wasn't the kid element in it, other than that one guy has a kid. The alien has a kid.
Shamey, yeah.
But
I mean, I can see it. I mean, it's certainly more kid friendly than what it was based on, Hell in the Pacific. But I don't think it was a kid movie. I will tell you, I absolutely love Louis Gossett Jr. in that movie.
yeah,
Absolutely amazing in that movie. So yeah, I will grant that. Oh, and John Collins says, Bob, I'm thinking from the 70s or 80s political science. We'll get back to you. Oh, Zubalik says, slap happy Will Smith.
yeah. I don't know if we're gonna let that go. That kind of seemed to fade into the back, but Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
Chris Rock's not making a big deal out of it, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it either. So,
Zublix goes on to say, but Soylent Green was good. Soylent Green was great. I just wanted to
mm.
point out that it varied wildly from the source material. So, just wanted to mention that. But yes, it's actually one of my favorite science fiction films.
Hmm. What's this say? Oh, so you worked as a dancer?
Oh, I think this is what they were talking about. Tom the Hungry Jerk.
Oh, for
When he
Lionel Richie.
were lit for Lionel Richie. Yeah, we
Hmm.
have two independent conversations going on. Well, I'm going to tell
Huh.
you something. Yeah, because somewhere here, where is it? Give me 1 second. I danced on his Dancing on the Ceiling tour. So apparently,
Oh, really?
Tom back in
Wow.
the 80s was a professional dancer. That is cool squared.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And now we know what those comments were for.
Oh, yeah.
And, oh, Daryl Johnson says Jaws the book sucked. The movie was good.
Hmm. All right. All right. I have to trust you. I've never read it.
I could not. I will grant you. I couldn't get through the whole book. To be honest with you,
Oh, really? It
I
was
couldn't
that
get
bad,
through it.
huh?
Well, it wasn't that it was bad, but again, when I read it, I was much, much, much younger and just wanted a story about this cool story about a shark eating people. I didn't want human drama, and about 80% of the book is human drama.
I see.
So it just wasn't one. Because when I saw Jaws, it was a movie about a shark. I wanted a book about a shark, and it wasn't. It had all
Hmm.
this sort of love triangles and
I see.
yeah, and I
I
just didn't
gotcha.
want that.
Well, we are getting to the point where we're going to need to quit here. We've been on for about an hour and a half. Let me ask you, Thrash, what are you doing over on your channel?
Funny you should ask. I actually, Pat the Golden Rage, has very graciously, since he's not doing a post this week, has awarded me his time slot. And to all of you who are free this coming Wednesday, you are all invited to join me for my ongoing live chat. People have been joining it. I've been having lots and lots of fun. It's traditionally a post we're talking about classic sci-fi,
Hmm.
um, from the 70s to the end of the century, vintage sci-fi. But we've been getting a lot of mileage out of vintage TV shows and music as well. What Mr. Sunstrom would say, the good stuff. I am also frantically putting together material for my upcoming retrospective review of the Ralph Bashki masterpiece, Wizards.
Mm, interesting. Well, I am thinking. So I've been things have been kind of crazy here. Just so you know, like I mentioned that I'm not pastoring right now. Like that was my last thing. So my wife ran a Christian school, and that's where we did the church out of, and it's all kind of closing down. And things are changing really rapidly for me here, a little bit more rapidly than I would like, but I'm accepting it. So I haven't been doing my small videos as of late. We've been like today all day long. I've been over at the school closing things down. I'm still trying to keep up on my podcast and the Monday night live stream for right now. But I'm going to get back to those small videos pretty soon. I want to get back to doing those every week. But I'm thinking of launching a new kind of series. You know how I did 5 things you didn't know about this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm thinking of like 3 things you didn't know about a last episode, like the last episode of Cheers or the last episode of MASH,
Oh, ooh.
um, or the last episode. 3 things you didn't know about the last episode of Name the TV series. So I'm gonna try it. I think I'm gonna try it with MASH because MASH seems to be kind of a hot topic. It seems like anything you do MASH wise, for some reason, it goes viral. And I would love to see one of my videos go viral. So I'm going to do a last thing, like maybe when I get the time here, when things kind of settle down, we've got like lots to move. The school was huge, by the way. It was I mean, we have so much stuff there, desks and everything that have got to be moved into storage. It's taking at least all week for me to do. And so when I get done with that, I think I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing last like 3 things you didn't know about the last episode of MASH is kind of I'm going to put my foot in the water on that one to see if people like it. And then I think what I want to do is a last episodes, and I think I want to get Dave back on the show, and do last episodes, best last episode of Family Ties, last episode of MASH, last episode of, this and that. The other thing I want to do is, by the way, Redbeard has a fantastic video over on his channel right now. It's called Top 5 Cartoon Villains. I mean, normally he does music stuff, but he did his top 5 cartoon villains, and it's a great video. It's a great video, and so I've got to do something with him back on the air, because that was such a terrific topic. And again, I want to have BK on the air back on. I want to have some of these other Pat back on. I want to get Action Elite back on. Some of these people that may have come on once and then I haven't seen them for a long time. And then plus some of my old friends that just kind of lose contact with. I still plan on going up and seeing Dave hopefully next month. I'm gonna maybe do a live show from his house. He doesn't know this yet because he's watched this, but I'm planning on it, and maybe even staying in his guest room for one. I mean, it'll just be a day trip, just be up one night and then back one night, up one day and then back one day, kind of a thing. So anyway, that might be what's on my schedule. But anyway, I wanted to say, love you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share it on your favorite social media. Take one of my videos and share it on your favorite social media. And we will see you all again real soon. Take care. Stay retro.
Take everyone. Peace.